Sovan, are you here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, so I think it's 10 or 10. We do seem to be a little short on the number of participants, but I think we can start and hopefully more participants will join in the
Yeah,
time.
sure.
So a very good morning to all. My name is Architect Tushar Mandal, and on behalf of the Periyar School of Architecture, I welcome you all to the 28th webinar in the Every Friday webinar series. So today's webinar will be Decoding City Architecture and will be presented by architect Sovan Shah. So before introducing the speaker, I would like to introduce architect Prakriti Mehta, who is also one of the supervisors for our school. Prakriti ma'am, if you could like just say a few words of motivation for us today.
Hello, everyone. Great to see you, Sovan. Thank you for accepting our invitation and joining us today. And thank you, Tushar, for hosting this webinar for today. Yeah, we do see certain shortfall in the number of participants as expected than usual, but I think in another few minutes, we are expecting more people to join in. So this is a webinar series which we host every week, and every week we, it's been the 28th webinar in the whole series, Friday webinar series, is extremely important with like Sovan Saha as an urban designer and as a architect practicing in Calcutta, also working as an academician. And how I think for the brief conversations and discussions that we've begun to realize how teaching and practice really needs to build together rather than in isolation. And today, I think I'm really looking forward to Sovan's presentation on decoding city architecture, as he calls it. And I would also like to take this opportunity of inviting anyone and everyone here. And if you know of your friends or any of your acquaintances who've got an idea to share with the school and would like to take it forward as a workshop in the future or as a seminar in the future or perhaps a conference, I think this is the space where we are expecting a lot of people to join us. And I really, really humbly invite all of you to share your personal thoughts, your ideas related to architecture or its practice or its education with all of us as and when you feel like. Yeah, I think that's about it, Tushar, from my end. A very warm welcome to all of you once again. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. So now we'll introduce the speaker for today's webinar. Mr. Sovan Saha is an architect and urban designer with 9+ years of experience. He graduated from Jadavpur University, Kolkata in 2011 and did his post-graduation from SPA Delhi. He has worked as a design consultant on multiple urban level projects. Besides working as a professional, he has been active in the field of academics and is currently pursuing his PhD from NIT Rourkela. Presently, he is associated with Amity University, Kolkata as an assistant professor and also runs his own practice named Studio Abaya. So I request Mr. Sovan to now begin his presentation, and it's a request to all the participants to keep themselves muted for the duration of the presentation. Once the presentation is over, we will have a discussion and question answer round at the end when you can ask your questions. Thank you. Sovan, if you could just begin your presentation now.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Architect Tushar. And many thanks for the introduction. And also thanks to Prakriti. She's my batchmate from Masters, and that's the identity we share. It's not the architect, urban designer, or something. We share companionship. So it was really fantastic that when Prakriti actually connected me with this idea and platform. So thanks for that. And also thanks to others who have joined to bear with me for a few minutes, half an hour or something. Okay, so thank you. I'm starting. Is the presentation visible in presentation mode?
I see the whole window.
Is it?
Yes, it's visible in the presentation mode.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So today we will actually share a few ideas regarding uh, that how do you decode a city. So decode, what I exactly mean is how do we explore a city in terms of when we visit that city, when we are staying in that city, or probably we have visited for a work purpose, or probably we are visited as a tourist. So how do we actually explore a city or an urban area? Okay, so it's like so when we navigate from one point of the city to another point, so that's where we start experiencing our city, that particular urban area or any area. And then that through that experience, the interaction starts. Here, the interaction doesn't mean the verbal interaction we are having with the people, but the interaction that how do we react to that city, how it is offering its gestures to us. Okay, and then we start perceiving. Sometimes when we end up having some emergency situations, probably that is a little frightening for us. When we end up reach somewhere as a tourist, probably the experience is different. When we reach a place for work, let's say I'm going to Bangalore, Mumbai for a work, we experience that city in a different way, and we start perceiving that city in that way. And then we start capturing the images of that city in our mind. It's kind of a memory that we capture. It can be an image of the city, it can be an experience as an image of the city. So that's how we start. And then we all have read this quotation from Patrick Geddes: a city is more than a place in space, it is a drama in time. So the image which is getting created in our mind, it's the drama of that particular city and the way it offers. So imageability or image, the way the memories are getting created in our mind, that is one of the biggest thing when we visit a place or when we stay at a place. Okay, so when I describe my hometown, Kolkata, when someone will describe his or her hometown, New Delhi, the experiences, the images will be different. So this is an image definitely all of us can understand. It's from Mumbai. So this is a kind of contrast probably we can very well and very easily see in Mumbai. So we can see high-rise buildings and all those kind of built forms, modern buildings, glass buildings, and just beside that probably low-rise shanty areas. But those, they are related in terms of the city performance, in terms of the people, their interactions, they're related. When we see this definitely this image is very much, even if I don't tell you this is Dharavi, probably the first name which has come into your mind is Dharavi. So when I show you this, probably this is where somewhat we are a little we cannot reach to a conclusion which city exactly it is until and unless probably we have stayed in this place. So this is Gurugram or Gurgaon. Okay, so sometimes the image, it's not unique. Sometimes it's when the globalization has happened, when the city development, the type of buildings, the type of traffic, the type of roads we build from standards. So yes, there are few common things happens to many cities, and we probably may not end up concluding that this is the particular image of that particular city. Okay, so this is another image. If I give the full impression of it, this is this one, which is also an envisioned image of an architect of one of the Indian cities, and we all know what it is, Amravati. Okay, so this is also an image which is an iconic building. So the image is coming from a building. Probably I don't remember the surrounding, I will not remember if it is built, I will not remember the surrounding in this way with the iconic building, but the image is created in our mind, or the person or the artist or the architect who has created this image for the city. Now when we see these kind of images, okay, so I was talking about Mumbai and those cities who all are either, I mean, just few hundreds of years back it is built, and few are going to come. But when we see these kind of images which is there for hundreds of years, like these cities, Jaisalmer, when we visit these public spaces, when we see people there, when we start interacting or navigating from one point of to another, and start interacting with the people, start interacting with the places, we get to see, we get engaged with these kind of places very easily. This is So this is an image which is not built with only one particular building or two buildings or three buildings. It is a kind of composition. Probably we will not remember a particular building other than the fort as it is. So it's a kind of composition. The whole city offers you something in a collective. And also the way we experience. Now, what is the difference when I showed the image of Gurgaon, when I showed the image of Mumbai, or the futuristic cities like Amravati? So, what is the difference? So, the not only the building materials, not only the typology of designs, not only the expression of it, but also the aspirations of the people has changed. And the aspiration, probably one of the biggest aspiration, what we can see nowadays is the cars. So it was missing at that point of time when Jodhpur or Jaisalmer, these cities were built, but nowadays it is there. Okay, and also when we see these kind of not only the buildings, the built environment, but also the public spaces. This is a place in Kolkata, it's College Street. So this is how it is expressed. The books, the people, the type of people visits there, the type of people are selling the books there. It creates the image of that particular city. This is one of the image from old Delhi. We say it old Delhi, but is it really old? Yes, it is built hundreds of years back, but presently it is functioning with its full potential, or probably 80% of its potential. But it has kept or the flavor of the city as it is, and still till date it is offering. Whenever we visit Delhi, we visit these places for food, for probably we are getting souvenirs, to visit many monuments. So that is how the image is created in our mind. So there are these two kind of scenarios. Okay, so one are the futuristic globalized cities, and one which the kind of Indian cities we had and till date we have. So there are these two different kinds of scenarios. So this is one, kind of approach, which is the kind of Western food we have, and this is another one, which is kind of Indian food. So what is the basic difference between these two? When we eat a pizza, when we taste it, so probably I'll finish one pizza in, let's say, 10 bites, but the 10 bites it will taste same for me, because all the ingredients, yes, it might have a little bit of surprises in between with a chicken dots or something else, or with chili flakes, but the more or less the pizza will taste similar for me. But if I look at on the right hand side, the other two images, the food, the way it is served, thalis. Okay, so each person, even one person, if that food is finished in, let's say, 20 bites, the 20 bites can be customized and the taste can be at as per that person tastes. So how do we like to have a paratha? How do we like to have rice with different dal, probably with paneer or some other non-veg? So this is the difference. Okay, so now if I come to Jane Jacobs, one of the Jane Jacobs quote, it is, cities have capability of providing something for everybody only because and only when they are created by everybody. Okay, so that is how the Indian cities are created till date, and probably we need to follow the similar path to create the cities in that way. We cannot only look for globalized cities, we cannot only look for cars, we cannot only look for modernizations, we cannot only look for development, but also the essence of the Indian nature, or probably the local essence, has to be kept. So this is probably a situation where the both is prioritized. We can see on one end the organized retail shops and those things are there, and also on the other end the kind of organic and then informal vendors are also there, because you have both kind of people who all will go to that shop, a formal shop, and also who all will buy stuffs from the informal vendors. So you cannot only say I'll bring in malls, I'll bring in commercial retails, I cannot I will only bring in the proper markets, but informal markets, the informal interactions are also required. That is how it is created. The Indian cities are created. This is one of the road in Mumbai. So this is another. I very recently I visited the city Kozhikode, and it is one of the image. Again, you can see how definitely beside the cars, the vehicular movement, how your pedestrian movement and that inclusiveness is kept. It is not obstructed. And definitely also, I mean, you can see how the pedestrian movement is kept in a continuation. It's not abruptly done, because again, then it will be overlooked. Even if you see, this is one of the I mean, biggest bus terminal there, KSRTC bus terminal. Even in front of that, where you have let's say, probably at peak, your vehicular movement at peak, all types of vehicles, motorized vehicles are there, but still you have that city has prioritized the pedestrian traffic. So that is how definitely we will have cars, we will have aspirations, we will have modernizations, but we will have the people with the city development growing with their aspirations. So what kind of cities do we need, or what kind of cities can cater to this kind of a balanced situation, if we call it balanced situation? Okay, yes, we need density in the cities, urban areas, but that has to be healthy. It cannot be like Dharavi, or it cannot be like only high rise buildings compromising with the built environment and the public spaces. It, yes, we would like to have iconic buildings, but it has to be inclusive. It cannot exclude people. And I mean all different sorts of stakeholders who are there, present in the urban areas of Indian cities. That is how one city can become adaptive and livable. Yes, the cities has to actually cater to the ambitions of the people, but it has to also keep the citizens happy. And that is how probably we will still I mean, continue developing our cities, but it has to be sustainable. So this is one example from Seoul. It's Han River. So in 1976 there was these kind of vehicular movement on there was a stream before this particular vehicular bridge and these roads are built there. The stream, one stream was there, but as per the requirement of the city authority built bridges, the vehicles took over, and you cannot see people are there. I mean, they are prioritized. But that city government and the government realized that no, we need to bring in people again. And that is how the scenario changed there. Okay, the same place, the built environment enclosure is kept same. The vehicular traffic is also I mean, it's not completely reducted or deducted from there, but it's there. The functioning of vehicular traffic is there, but still they could actually try and bring in people again to the same part of the city. Okay, and that is how your city's image is restored, and it can keep on growing. And it is an image of 2005. So this is where, when we are designing cities, when we are talking about cities, the city experts, urban experts are there. So we have stakeholders also. Definitely government is the biggest, probably the biggest stakeholder, then the private, and then PPP. Public participation is also very much required. Okay, so this is one example from Delhi. Probably many of us has visited this place, or probably are living in Delhi. So on a regular basis, we need to go to this place, Chandni Chowk, Delhi. Okay, so we can see the then and now image, and we can understand what the difference has been created. But the area is functioning fully. It is, but it doesn't mean that we have reduced cars, we have prioritized pedestrians, we have prioritized the goods movement, and the non-motorized vehicular movement. Doesn't mean that the area function will go down. So we have to bring in a balance. We cannot prioritize, I mean, one of them 100% and the other one will get zero. Okay, so this area, after the restoration, I mean, in this way it is redesigned, it is functioning fully. Another image of the same place. So now how to do it? So this is where I will just show you a small example. It is one work from architect Prasanna Desai. It is done in Pune. So this is one of the roads in Pune, and I mean, now how that road is studied, and how the spatial differentiations are created, and how the acknowledgement for different type of people, different type of stakeholders is created on ground on the road. So this is the overall width of the road. Okay, 45-meter width it was, but the actual road use, if you see, is like this. Rest of the part is either loading, unloading, parking, or something, and people are walking there, cycling there. So as you can see, there is a footpath of 2 to 2.5 meter, then a parking bay or service lane. You can see, right? I mean, as a function, it's not delineated as of now. So, and then you can see there is a cycle track, and then people are walking. Okay, so the same thing, the people's behavior, their pattern is understood, they're studied, and then this change is being made there. It is Satara Road, Pune, and this change is made. And you can see how the public, even the motorized vehicle, in terms of public transport and private transport, how they're prioritized. You can see the bus lane in between, you can see people are getting up, getting down, and you can see the footpath, you can see the cycle track. All of them are there at the same place. But now, and the previous image there is a difference, is that acknowledgement is created for all different types of stakeholders. So you are including all of them who are present in that city and who are going to come. Okay, and this is how the public spaces are also redesigned there. Yes, I mean, the cars, the two-wheelers are not completely omitted from those places. They are there, they're parking there, but at the same point of time, people can get engaged with the public spaces. There's another image. And also, so that the vehicular movement doesn't violate with the pedestrian movement or something. And this is how the measures are also taken. You are installing bollards in an interesting way so that the vehicular movement doesn't obstruct the vehicle doesn't come on the footpath and obstruct the pedestrian movement. And this is how people actually, with the luggage, if your pedestrian walkway, if your public space is safe, if your pedestrian walkway is smooth enough, you will, even with the luggage, you will walk for a longer distance. And that is how your city should be inclusive. Even you can see in the image that the aged people are also coming to those places, which was not there before. And this is how it is recreated for them. Where will they stay? They will stay indoor always? No, they will also come out if you create space for them. If we as urban experts can create space for them, it's the same place. And this is how it is regenerated. You can see the before image and how it is regenerated. The aged people are coming, the youngsters are coming, walking, using those public spaces, waiting. So now this is one of the place which me and my team has designed. It is one of the a small part. It is 80 to 90-meter riverfront which we have designed in Kolkata. So it is this was the situation before we designed and execute the place. This was the situation. So it was kind of completely a gathering space, but completely unorganized. But they had stalls, like informal stalls serving ice cream or some snacks or something. And definitely, and this area is mostly, you can say, there are overlaps of two different religious people. Like here, the Hindu immersion, Durga Murti immersion ghat is also there, and also at every Friday there is this kind of gathering happens. Two-wheelers coming in. Okay, so how do you handle this crowd? So what we try to do is this is Calcutta Riverside. This is one project, and this is how we try to create space for them. And how the ghat, so the immersion also can happen, the gathering also can happen, the different public activities also can happen, the informal shops also can be formalized and stay at some place, so that it don't create some sort of littering here and there. And that is how it has been a part of it has been executed. You can see this beyond this, you can see this, I mean, the ribbon kind of string on the right hand side, that there is a public private development. So there's a public private overlap also, but the way the edge is created, the way the public space is created, yes, you are allowed to enter. And even you'll not be able to enter the private domain, but also you can interact at that edge particularly. So this is how these things are created. So now we mostly, when we talk about cities experience, the decoding a city or exploring a city, so we talk about three different perspectives. Function-based experience. So from one point to another, if I move, how the functions are changing, how the I mean the different types of usages, land usage. If I come to the technical terms, the building usages are changing. And then definitely how you're moving from one place to another, how smooth you're moving, how the mode you're opting for, the public transport you're opting for, how that movement based experience is there. And definitely form based, your built environment, what kind of enclosure is created, what kind of architectural features are creating that kind of a built environment is there. So now from that, I mean, that understanding, before we design, we need to have a proper intent that how do we go forward with the present day aspirations, the contemporary aspirations of the people. Then we need to finalize our approach accordingly and implementation strategies accordingly. So even if we, there's an image from my hometown is, I think all of us can identify this one, Howrah Bridge. There's a very strong image. When we reach Kolkata, Howrah Station, when we reach Howrah Station, there's a very strong image. We enter through this bridge to the city of Kolkata, and then we go to different places. But when we see from this particular element, if I take only Howrah Bridge, when we see from this angle, the image is like this. When we see from the other angle, the image is like this. It is even more, let's say, it's poetic, it's very different. It's with a backdrop of river, with a backdrop of sky. So this is how the whole composition is. And then when do we see this, probably with the lights you can see, and it's a fantastic image with the river and everything. But if you see on this part of the image, there's a I mean, bus terminus. There's so many vehicles, functions, people. I mean, n numbers of people. Probably you will. I mean, if a designer enters into designing this place or redesigning this place, you won't be able to end up doing things. And there will be several types of trial and errors. It has to be done. How the way it will be done. So many routes of buses. So many things. Okay, so there's a kind of, so when our context is changing, when we look at something from different perspectives, so we can understand what kind of requirements are there at different scales, at different contexts. So one academic exercise we did on this. So definitely it was an attempt by the MIT students from batch 2017-22. So they did an exercise on this. So they studied these places. As you can see in the plan, there are, I mean, even if you just see the grade level and then you see the subway level, there are so many things to understand. You can see here that there are 20 subways are there and their outlets. So many things and so many people with different functions, informal vendors, passengers, so many different things. And then to come up with a redesign. Probably this academic exercise is not tested, but yes, it has been discussed with the authority and also with the people who are, I mean, having interactions or daily passengers of that place. We had interactions with them. Probably the solution can be even more modified, but this was what we could come up with within a 6 months span. I'll show you in detail also a little bit. As you can see, the river edge is also, I mean, it is filled with warehouses. The function of this particular place was, one point of time, the river was the major commuting, I mean, network. Okay, so all the goods and everything used to come through that. So mostly the warehouses are built along that river. So how do you change? Now the warehouses are, I mean, getting defunct because the transport network has been changed. The bus terminus or the railway lines are organized or networked in a different way. So what do we do with this warehouses? What do we do with these places, which all are completely empty or probably just lying there with some materials hazardous stores? So you can bring in people again there. So you are revitalizing your spaces. So this is also a point, like one city, if you have designed one place, that place and the relevance of that place may last for a certain period of time. So you need to keep on visiting that place, keep on reinventing or re-understand that particular people's nature and their aspirations, and keep on changing and adapting to those newer or emerging aspirations. Okay, so this is how again the space is regenerated. This is how the people who all are there are kept there, and also from other parts of the city, also the passengers who are traveling, they were brought in to those places. And not only with the riverfront, with the ghats, and also with the imagery. And imagery is the way you perform your cultural works, your artworks, and the way your behavior is, the way you are engaged with different activities. This is how it is brought in. Okay, so now if we talk about the approach and the intent and how do you strategize. Okay, so this is another exercise, and this exercise why I have included in this, because this was an academic exercise, but later on it has been transformed into an actual project. I'll show you that process also. So this was another part. So the part which I have just shown as the Howrah Bridge part, which is one part of the entry of to the city of Kolkata. This is one part which is Bishwamangla Chaurani or Bishwamangla Gate. You'll get to see this particular image. This is a model image. Definitely, let's show you this other images like this. This is another part, another direction of the entry to the city. It is to from the airport direction. Okay, so we selected this part to understand that what is the difference between these two entries to the city. The image is different. The second one is newly built. So the newer aspirations or the newer modern outlook is there. But what to do with that? Is it appropriate, or it is also changing? The aspirations or requirements are also changing. So depending on the physical parameters, the natural entities, the mobility, the activity, the morphology of this of the area. So I mean, the whole thing is studied academically, but later on it is studied professionally also, and some designs are produced, executions is also done. So these are the intervention areas from that study we have selected, and they are like the public spaces, which is there. You don't have to enter into the private domains. You don't have to take a land from government always. So you can just what space is available. You can just come up with something which is a better design, which is a better solution or better, I mean, address to the present need. Okay, so this was a road junction, and this is how it has been recreated. Okay, if you see how the traffic islands are used, how the newer I mean the new metro station is going to come there, which was not there, it is still under construction. So what the impact will be, how the dispersal, the vomitories of metro will work, how the paratransit will work, and how these traffic islands, which are just, I mean, non-productive spaces as of now. I mean, no trees, and till date it is there, or probably nobody is using, that is required for traffic movement and definitely to create that space, but it is not that productively used. But when a newer movement network is coming in to disperse the traffic, to disperse that paratransit, probably that can be used. And this is how it is recreated. The vomitories are placed and designed in such a way, the transits are incorporated in such a way. And then definitely the existing public transport networks. And as you can see, this pinkish part, and that has been completely considered as a tabletop. So you prioritize your grade level movement. Okay, even at this kind of a traffic junction where you have n numbers of traffic, but you still prioritize that. I mean, not reducing the vehicle speed or not reducing the number of vehicles from there, because the newer metro station is going to come. That is definitely going to impact on the number of vehicles and the movement of it. That is understood and studied, and then the design is made. So another part, this is also in continuation of that. We have chosen 3 different parts. There's another part where there is a flyover, and the space underneath that, no use. It's completely blindly kept. So probably these available spaces only, public spaces only, can be redesigned in such a way so that the people get engaged with the city, can experience more. So how your I mean, your culture can be brought in, your activities, human activities can be brought in, your informal commercials can work there. So this is how it is. It was recreated. I mean, in the academic exercise, and then this is how your public transport is also incorporated in the design, and this is how it is executed. Probably not the exact design because it was modified after later on, and then this is how it is recreated. People are there. I mean, they're not brought in occasionally, but these functions are happening. People are coming in, performing, they're arranging something. And also, I mean, it is not only that government is investing and creating spaces, but it also, these spaces, if you actually articulate public space in a such a way, people are coming to use it, you will start earning revenues. So that is how you maintain your public space as well. It is not only your investments, but also you can have revenue earning from that. So that model has to be generated, because everything, probably if you don't come up to the financials, we won't be able to justify it. Yahan pe this is what we build, this is what we build. We cannot just keep on proposing, but we also need to see how government can benefit out of that. So then there'll be the stakeholders, different stakeholders will be actually interested to do that and maintain those areas. Okay, so are we on time or out of time? Just ask.
No, we are on time. We're on time.
Okay. So then this detailed understanding before we design a space, before we execute that design, we need to have the detailed understanding. We need to study in detail. We need to actually visit the space, experience, and then we need to develop a holistic approach. And then strategic interventions are required. You cannot just intervene. This particular public space was not intervened in just few months. We had to sit with the public authority, we had to talk with them, we had to convince, they were like the design, they wanted to change something. Many things happened. And also in other cases, like the examples which I showed in case of Pune, all those exercises are done. I mean, those architect or designer group, they have done it. It's a and now I'll show one of our another work, which is Namchi Smart City work. And probably I'll show you a few images like this, and then I'll show you the other compilation. I'll just share another document for this. So it is like when the smart city project emerged, let's say 4 or 5 years back, the government came up with this concept, 100 smart cities. What do we mean by smart cities? Does it only mean that we'll incorporate smart devices and it's just done? No, it's probably not. So the way we interpreted as urban experts, so we interpreted that yes, we need to utilize the spaces of an urban area or a city in a smart way, so that can address and adapt the present day aspirations of the people, and it can also adapt the future aspirations in future. So you have that flexibility, you can change that space, you can omit something, you can renew something and come up with some things. So this I mean, these kind of exercises were done when I showed this first images, that I mean, we didn't only design, so we also went with that design to the city authority and to the public. We actually gathered their views, gathered their opinions on that and their wantings. They actually gave us feedback. So what has happened? It was displayed, it was discussed in a public space. There is actually an existing public space there in Namchi. So this was discussed. City authority people and also CM came in. So just now I'll just show you the other compilation for Namchi. Is it visible? So what we actually did after that feedback from the authority and the people. So if you see this images of Namchi, these are the existing scenario, and it's a hilly town. You cannot deal with this particular space like a town or the city which is in plain. So how do we deal with that? So we definitely, and most of us probably when we studied, did academic exercises, we did cities which is on plain mostly, which is more accessible to us. And even the professional exercise which we did before this one is on plain. So this is completely a new grammar for us, which we need to understand, we need to learn. So we learn from the people there. How do they behave? How do they move from one place to another? You cannot have car driveways or cycle drivers there, everywhere and anywhere. So you have to prioritize pedestrian movement, because they are climbing from one step to another to enter the market, to enter the bus stop, to enter something. They are coming from somewhere and reaching somewhere. So we need to understand that. And based on that, So first, we needed to finalize that in which way we are going to proceed. So we are going to prioritize the natural construct, we are going to prioritize the social construct and the physical construct also. Okay, so instead of prioritizing probably the tourism and all those, we felt that the city requires more on natural construct, social, because that is how you can again bring in tourists. Okay, so if you keep your environment intact or maintained properly, if you keep your social construct intact, so people will come in. And now this again coming to the financials, I'll say you cannot only think about design. We have to think about the financials also, how you can sell the idea, not as a you can say a consultant, but I'm saying how to sell the idea, that who all will actually invest. The government will actually invest in this, okay, to bring this particular city to a certain mark. So on which basis? So you need branding for that, you need actually financial tributaries for that. How will you bring in money? Because only making a report, keeping it in the at the home and or the office, it will not going to work with the cities in future. So how to brand that particular one? And then we started devising the area level proposal. Okay, so which all are the areas? You cannot intervene the whole area. We cannot say from this point to this point the whole road stretch will be intervened, because it's a hilly region. So we needed to identify project basis areas, which one can be intervened. And also we need to understand not only the domain of design, but we also need to understand the criticalities regarding land ownership. We need to understand the criticalities regarding overlaps of different government departments. We also need to incorporate that. Otherwise, what will happen? I'll create a fantastic design and it will just remain in the laptop, or just for proposal presentation. It will be stuck somewhere between the two different authorities, or between somewhere in the statutory process. We also need to incorporate those, understand those, and how to execute projects. So we could come up with few, 5 different areas to develop them. One of them as public node, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 public nodes, where one of them as the sports, including the existing stadium and the redevelopment of that area. One was definitely a facility center, which was to also to cater to the tourists, and also to cater to the local people and their crafts, their products. And definitely the Namchi Plaza, which was actually the present major public space. How to recreate that space also, how to bring in smart features to that. Again, coming back to the smart gadgets or features. So you'll bring in those perspectives there. Okay, so this is how the things are prioritized, and then the options are created. So you can see the project, how the project impact was envisioned. So this was the this image. When you see project Namchi, you can see how that area or that plaza is regenerated. Okay, so project basis approach was taken. And presently, as you can see, this particular one, I don't have that image because I haven't visited that place as of now. So this project access, it was taken up. It's by the Namchi city government, and they're trying to actually finalize the layout and doing things. And from this, now we are talking about public space, we are talking about people, and we are talking about built environment as well. How to address them? If you see just this particular drawing on the right hand side bottom corner, you'll get to understand that, probably in planes, the buildings we are living in Delhi, Kolkata. So we have one entrance exit probably, or two entrance exit to a building, 4-story building. But in that place, it's at two different levels it is happening. One entrance from the third floor, one entrance exit from the first floor. So that is how your built form is also related to the site. You take that same build form, come to a plane, and you build that, it is a different thing. So this is what I'll conclude with, that we need to understand the particular local requirements there, along with the aspirations of the contemporary aspirations of the people. We will bring in modern functions, we will bring in futuristic buildings, we will make iconic cities, but that has to go with the flavor, what it has presently and what it is going to be. That flavor has to remain. It cannot have a flavor which is standardized. Then I'll visit Delhi, I'll visit Kolkata, I'll visit Mumbai, I'll visit Bhopal. I'll have same kind of flavors. I will not, probably that will become a very monotonous trip if I visit these four places with those standardized development. So this is what is probably I'll conclude with this today's discussion.
Okay, thank you, so. And I think the analogy with food was a
Yeah.
pretty apt one for the topic, and it was a very well explained presentation. So, participants can now ask questions. I think I myself do have like two particular questions as well, but I would like to see if there's any participant who want to ask a question before me.
Yeah,
So, if
sure.
there's any participant, they can either unmute themselves and ask, or they can put the question in the chat box, whichever they're more comfortable with.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so I think let me just start with the question first, and then we can take up from the participant. So, so the first question that I would have is, for example, because we talked about the inclusivity in a city, right? Like, being inclusive not just for like for all stratas of humans, but I want to ask you about what are your thoughts on going beyond just the you? Like, if we talk about, especially particularly in, for example, cities in India and Southeast Asia, where we have a lot of like a lot of non-human presence as well. When I say non-human presence, I just don't talk about the domestic animals and the wild animals, but in general, I talk about all types of. For example, a lot of our cities are surrounded by peri-urban or rural vegetation, right, which hosts a lot of wildlife. So what are your thoughts on the inclusivity of cities, especially Indian cities, with respect to non-human life?
Yeah. If you actually talk about the urban and the area which is just at the periphery of that urban or a little ahead of that. So now I'll give you two examples. Let's say I probably live in at the core of the city, and accordingly my earning is done. And one person who is at the living at the periphery or probably a little in rural area or semi-urban area, he is traveling every day to this place for his work. So now, for lunchtime, if I only create spaces for Wow Momo or Wow China, see, it won't be possible for that person to afford that. Okay, so we need to have places like roadside chow mein or roll places for that person. Now there is another conflict that Wow Momo and Wow China may come in and pay a certain amount of revenue to the city authority, and city authority may prefer Wow China more because that person who is informally making chow mein or egg roll at the side of the road, he is not being able to pay, let's say, more than 200 rupees per day. So what will happen? Which see, so here we need. I am talking about the inclusivity. So you have to permit both of them. If you actually overlook that person who is making that earning from that charmin or roll making, he will also lose earning. And also that person who is traveling and having that particular food at lunchtime, he will also leave his proper livelihood. So that again, there will be another struggle. So
Okay.
you definitely, we will go with, upgradations, modernizations, everything. But along with that, we also need to think about these people who all are that. Even let's say if you ask me, probably a person who is let's say earning four times than me, that person will go for lunch to a particular fine dine. I may not go. I'll stick to our China. Now all the restaurants are fine dine, then I'll feel also excluded. So it's like the way you interact with the person who is traveling from the rural area to the urban area on a daily basis in train or something. So that commute expense, that everything, it has to come down to financials, because ultimately probably what I have understood in these many years, it's boiled down to that particular perspective. If I can afford, I will avail that, and then my aspirations will grow accordingly. Now I can afford probably let's say a AC bus, a pool bus. Probably I'll aspire for a private car. If I can afford a private car, let's say Alto, I'll aspire for our cities.
Yeah.
So this is how our aspirations grow. That doesn't mean that I'll exclude Alto from the route or the public transport.
Okay. Yeah.
That,
So thank you. So yeah, if there's any participant who would want to ask a question, or Prakriti ma'am, if you have any question or comment, then if you would want to ask or just give your comments on the topic, or if there's any other participant, then please feel free to go ahead. Uh, okay, so I guess so. When I will ask my second question in that case.
Mhm.
So we also discussed, like you talked about the inherent smartness of a city, right? Like that a smart city does not just mean devices or smart devices and tools, right? It also means the inherent nature of how a city functions. So in that respect, for example, back when so in one of my urban, I think it was for a competition when I studied the city of Kolkata for its inherent smartness. And for example, one idea was that how the traffic is like the traffic is rerouted during, for example, the office times, right? So in, let's say, in the morning, all roads lead in one direction, and in the evening is the same road leads in the opposite direction, right? So that's an inherent smartness of, for example, the city of Kolkata in how it functions. It's not dictated by what we in call smart city in modern times, but at the same time we can't say that it's like a normal, how a normal city or how every city functions, right? It's very unique to, let's say, the situation in Kolkata. So if you could just discuss or give your comments a bit about the, for example, the inherent smartness in particularly Indian cities, not just
Right.
metropolitan, but even, let's say, tier 2, tier 3 cities that make the city function in a very unique way.
Yeah, right, right. So the point which probably I'll take it in this way, that not only designing urban areas, but also how do you manage your urban areas? That is a big point. I mean, a big consideration. Like the example you said, in Kolkata, we don't have that amount of roads to actually the amount of vehicles we have. We don't have that amount of roads to cater to. So what we do, we prioritize, I mean the traffic police prioritize their requirements at different times. So during office time you'll have rush on this area, during of probably at evening time you'll have rush on this area. So that is how you manage also. So this is a thing which we are saying daily basis. Now if you consider any festive season, like when Durga Puja happens here or the Ganesh Puja happens in Maharashtra, or let's say when Kumbh happens in any of the places. So what happens? Suddenly a huge crowd emerges there, lakhs and lakhs of people. So how do you cater to them? How do you actually guide those people from one place to another? How to go? Otherwise, it will be completely mismanaged. And if you see, this ephemerality of a city is also very naturally addressed till date. I mean, it's probably what we can say. We are very good. Indians are very good at hosting people. Okay, so even that person is you don't know, or so you are very good at hosting people. So that is how our uh, cities are also catering to. If you consider Delhi, you will consider old Delhi or the New Delhi part or the South Delhi part. You will see probably, let's say, there are 55 to 60% of who all are there since let's 20, 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. But there are 40% people who all are there. Even I also was there for let's say 4 or 5 years, and we stayed. So that is how even the city is continuously accommodating and helping you to consume things. And that is how you start interacting. So this urban management part is also very necessary. And we also need to understand what is the trend. So we cannot only say that I'll bring in industry in the urban area. So if I bring in industry, so definitely not only my city people will work, but also people from other places will also come, like the Bangalore is happening. So I have bring in IT industry, people are traveling from different places of India to Bangalore. Bengal se bhi ja raha hai, Orissa se bhi ja raha hai, all the places they're traveling towards Bangalore. So you need to accommodate them. You cannot just say you come and don't stay, go back home. So that is how, I mean, this trend also needs to be understood. So like not only your citizens, I mean the present citizens of that particular city, but also who all are going to come in future, near future. What are their aspirations? That's what I said, inclusivity. Because जो लोग उधर है वो तो है. So we need to consider, obviously, unka jo opinions hai, we need to take down, we need to understand, but also who all are, I mean, visiting there for, let's say, 5, 6 years, 10 years, or on a daily basis, we also need to jot down those requirements. When we talk about, I mean, I just showed the exercise which we did on how to bridge that particular area. So, I mean, nobody lives there. There is no residence. So all you get is the people who all are daily commuting there. So their requirements, what are their requirements? And the informal vendors who are just sleeping on the footpaths. So what are their requirements? Yes, yeah, probably you cannot give all of them, I mean, a home to stay or sleep. But what arrangement you can do? What kind of acknowledgement? How do you restrict them? You cannot keep on, I mean, let them growing. If there are 100 vendors, probably in future there will be 400 vendors, and you have limited space. You have limited amount of land. Land cannot be reproduced. So how do you tackle? So also that regularization, that balance has to be brought up. And also you need to facilitate that person, yes, so that, like, if I am a informal vendor there, I am selling, let's say, nimbu, 10 rupees 4 pieces. So but definitely, I have an aspiration that my ward will not do that. He or she will do something else. So how to facilitate that? So that is also there. So if you bring in only private schools, that will not help. So it is, I won't say it is only part of design, but also it's how do you make policies. So that is where probably we need to work. I mean, all those experts from different fields need to work together and understand what is the exact requirement.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So, Prakriti ma'am, are you here? Would you like to give like a few, like a closing comment or so, so that we can, then we can close the webinar after that? Ma'am? Okay, so I think Prakriti ma'am is probably occupied with something. So yes, I think
Yeah,
we can bring the webinar to a close, because we are sort of already closing on 11:10. But I think it was a very it was a brilliant presentation, Mr. Sovan, and I definitely look forward to interacting more and discussing further on the topic. So, I would like to thank you for taking out time for us and for presenting and sharing your ideas with us, and I also thank all the participants for making time and joining us today. With this, I would like to bring the webinar to a close. Please have a good day. Thank you.
yeah. Thank you. Thanks to everyone.